Tonight, we are thrilled to be joined by a true pioneer in the world of relationships. If you were tuned in last week, you know who he is because I mentioned him at the end of the podcast with Glenn Morshire and Ken Walls. He is none other than John Gray, the mastermind behind the iconic book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which I think you should have copies in your house everywhere. I first met John at Ramby's house in LA for a Napoleon Hill mastermind that we did. That was July 9th and 10th, 2022. And let's see, Don Green was there, Ori Spire was there, Mo Rock, Rex, Aura, Dan Altmeyer, Ken Walls. It was fabulous. And again in Florida, Orlando, in March of 2023, and two great mansions at this mastermind we were staying out. They were so cool with Craig Doswalt and Ken Walls and James Barber and Glenn Morshire and Nick Lowry, to name a few. And you know what the interesting thing is about being live with John Gray? At the end of his talks, at the end of the mastermind, you know when people are leaving and drifting? Well, there is everyone huddled around Dr. John Gray, and he is like holding court. And I mean, like 50, 60, 75 people just hanging on every word because he has such interesting things and such concepts and such relationship capital to help you have a better relationship. His book has sold millions of copies worldwide and has been translated into 45 languages. So everyone around the globe is reading it, maybe even in outer space. His work has not only shaped how we communicate in love, but it's also been recognized as one of the top influential books by USA Today. He's appeared, as you know, on Oprah and Dr. Oz and countless others, sharing his insights on health, happiness, and romance. Please join me in welcoming the man who has forever changed the way we understand and nurture ourselves and our relationships, Dr. John Gray.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure listening to that introduction. And yes, it was fun, and you're fun. And thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Let's start with how did you get the idea from Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus? Because I think everyone knows of this book.
Well, everybody loves it, and well, not everybody. There's a lot of people that love it. But back in the 80s, early 80s, when I started looking at gender differences and realizing then the ship was going in the wrong direction. Everybody was trying to look at men and women are the same. And I'm a counselor and I'm saying, hey, men are different. Women, you don't understand us. And I was saying to men, you don't get women at all. You know, you have to realize they don't think the way you do. They react differently. They have different responses. They have different needs. And literally for some couples, 2 or 3 sessions, they felt like they got more than the last 5 years of counseling or whatever. It was very encouraging to me. And I started giving talks. When you give talks, it's not like everybody's coming to you for saying, oh, we're having problems and want help. It's people like interested, what's going on. So it was controversial and disruptive. And it was a little hard. I kept praying to God, which is, can you give me some fun way to talk about men and women are different? And I was saying that, like, imagine you went to Japan, you need a translator. You know, this is what I do is I translate men to women, which is a nice example. But I thought, well, what can I make people laugh and so forth? And I was giving a talk and I was explaining that men are like ETs. You know, the movie was big in 84. And so I just said, women, imagine your husband's an ET. And I was going to explain that the food for an ET would be different for a human, right? So you wouldn't want to presume to know what a person from another planet needs or wants. Well, anyway, I just said to the audience, I never got to make that point. I just said, just imagine your husband's from Mars. Actually, and I said, imagine your husband's ET and from another planet. And the woman in the audience said, well, where's my husband from? I said, Mars. And boy, did they all laugh. This was really great. And I had goosebumps on my arms. I said, this was the answer to my prayer. And then it was easy to logically go, well, then where are women from? Well, women would love to be from Venus, you know, goddess of love and beauty. Yes, there you are. And it was from there on. I told that story about men are from Mars, women from Venus so many times, explaining life on Mars, life on Venus. And then we came together. I got so tired of telling that story, but every time I told it, I get goosebumps. then I thought, well, maybe if I put in a book, I'll never have to tell that story. And I did. The book took off, and I never really tell that story again, but it's in the book. Mainly, I just talk about men and women, how we misunderstand each other, and so forth. But what happened is that all around the world, people would just say, well, yeah, well, men are from Mars. Well, women are from Venus. And some people are misinterpreting my idea, which is not that we're too far apart. It's that we don't understand each other and that we can connect. And some people feel like just to say that men and women are different, you're a sexist. So I got kicked out of Stanford and Harvard because of those things. I was teaching these ideas. And then you could see the political thing going in the universities, particularly. That's where it all started, where they wanted to neutralize the idea that men and women are different. Well, so we're winning the battle. I keep staying there, helping people understand what's real.
Well, you explained that so well. I'm going to say hi to Eric. He says Mars and Venus. Yep, sounds like outer space. Hi, Eric Equinor. Thanks for being on. And the mermaid and the man from Mars. God's blessing to us all. And Robert says, did someone say Japan? Yes. And hi, Dr. John Gray and Eric. And yes, Dr. John Gray does a lot of talks all over the globe, and Japan was one of the places he goes to quite frequently and gives big speeches or little speeches for lots of money. If you're
really, my biggest seminar I ever taught of just people that came to me was Japan. We had 3,000 people for 3 days. That was amazing. Here I am in Marin County, where I've been giving seminars for over 30 years, I think it is, or 35 years. I've been teaching seminars here. So when I teach a seminar here, I'm lucky to get 30 people, but still, that's a nice seminar. Okay, for 3 days, if it's 3 days. And I used to be a little depressed about that. And my agent said, I think everybody's taking your seminar, is going to take your everybody's read your book.
No, there's more. There's a whole new generation. In fact,
I want to get to those generations. We'll get there.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to actually pick up. Oh, well, we'll get there. Okay. So you've seen the reset. How's your book evolved since it was first published? You've built a whole empire on someone to say men are from Mars. This has been your lifeblood.
This is definitely you find out you're an apple tree, you stay with your apples, and relationships and understanding everything through the filter. What I do is look at any problem and look at it through the filter of the male and female side. So I look at health, I look at parenting, I look at dating, I look at marriage, I look at sex, and all my different books, because so many books are written and they have good information, but I really feel they miss out if they don't acknowledge that how men and women are different. You can't just imagine you went to a doctor who didn't know the difference between men and women. It would be crazy. You have to have that distinction, particularly when it comes to personal things, but also to health. I did a lot of stuff with health. I had a wellness center. I had a crisis after 10 years of being #1 best author. Got early stage Parkinson's, and my sister died of Alzheimer's when she was 60 years old. I've got Parkinson's in the family. You get some of these things that are a bit genetic, but I fixed it. I'm a researcher. I think outside the box. There's a lot of holistic answers to things, as people are finding out. And what I wanted to do after, I went to some of my friends who are authors of holistic books and got the ideas on how to heal my brain. Then I wanted to learn more. So I created a wellness center. I invited all the experts in alternative medicine to come give talks and hear my talks to make sure my talks were good. It was a great time in my life. I did that for 8 years. That was good. And now I come back to relationships, written a few books on wellness too.
I have a friend who has Parkinson's. You said you had it?
I have it. If I was to come back, if I'm stressed and I'm not getting enough sleep, or if I'm not getting enough sleep and I'm working on a deadline or traveling a lot, it comes back a little, which is first stage of it for me is when I focus, my head automatically starts shaking back and forth. And so I just know that all I need to do is get some amino acids in my body, take a few supplements. What's really good is lithium. Lithium is was called a drug, but actually it's just a mineral, and psychiatrists used to give it for depression and bipolar. Well, it regulates dopamine in the brain with serotonin is what it does. And it's really everybody's scared of it. They try to make it scared because I'd say 90% of the people who take antidepressants would never need to take them if they did regular lithium orotate. Lithium is a mineral, but it has to get into the brain to work. And when you eat sugar, carbohydrates, or when you're really happy, you run out of lithium. When you're really down, you run out of lithium because it regulates our happy ups and downs. It regulates that. So if you have a big high, lithium goes out of your body. If you have a big low, lithium goes out of your body, and you have to replenish it. Otherwise, you get stuck either too high or too low, addiction or feeling depressed. It's a powerful, it's over the counter. It's illegal in all countries to sell. You can use it. It's not a negative substance, but they won't sell it. And the reason I tried to get it into Whole Foods, I formulated it with a bunch of other really good things and tried to get in Whole Foods. I know the guy who started Whole Foods, he was in my men's group. And he said, look, I tried to get it in there for you. They say, oh, we don't carry lithium orotate because people know it will make them feel really good. And then they think they'll say, well, if it makes me feel good, what if I take more? I'll feel even better. And I could take the whole jar and then you would have a stomach ache. That's actually the reality. But where this comes from is when psychiatrists use this, they use an inferior form of lithium. It doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. And if it doesn't get in the blood-brain barrier, you have to give someone 500 times the dose of lithium. Imagine getting it's a salt. Imagine getting 500 times the dose of salt. Well, you'd have big problems. So there's side effects. So they make a big deal out of it. And they say, oh, if you take lithium carbonate, that's what the doctors would give. You have to be tested all the time to make sure it's not too much in your body. You could have 5 bottles, or maybe at least a whole bottle of what I recommend, other holistic doctors recommend, and you couldn't even find it in your bloodstream. So it's, again, modern medicine. They want to mislead you. Another big one, I have to say, which is also for Parkinson's and adult dementia and Alzheimer's. And dementia is a big thing in my family. So I'm concerned about it. I'm 73 years old. Occasionally I forget nouns. Like people's names and things, but I think I've been doing that my whole life. So it's not really dementia.
Doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing great. And, but another one that people should know, these are just simple things. Lithium orotate is so inexpensive. The best one is at my website that I think is the best. Then there's the, cause it has other
Pop that up there, his website, please. Excuse me, John, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, marsvenus.com. It's on the top of the page and it takes you to another page, and on Amazon where you got like 5 pages of descriptions of why it's so good, everything that's in it. But I used to have 40 products, but I just decided to figure the one that nobody will take. No, because if you ask your doctor, they, you can't do lithium. Oh, because they don't know anything about lithium orotate. They're not educated in lithium orotate, and you can buy it in America over the counter, but not in health food stores because they say, oh, you take too much because it makes you happy. It's not a drug, and you won't even notice any difference if you're a person who has no ups and downs. It's when people have the ups and downs, you notice a big difference within days. If you don't have the ups and downs, it's still good because lithium, if you put it in a petri dish with brain cells, they start multiplying. There's nothing else that does that. Actually, I want my brain to get bigger. So
yeah, me too.
So, yeah. Anyway, so the other big one is nicotine. Now, nicotine is a lot of research on nicotine to stop dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. It's so powerful. And also to strengthen your immune system. When the COVID thing happened, all these people went to the hospital. If you're a smoker, it was rare, almost impossible for a smoker to go into the hospital because the nicotine protected them. Now, we all have, again, everything is really good. They want to put a bad spin on it. So nobody takes it and sees the power to stay healthy. But people can do YouTube searches on nicotine for brain function, and you'll see it's all there. So I put a little 7 milligram patch of nicotine on my belly. I do it for like 3 weeks, stop, and then occasionally then put it back on. Some people do it every day if they really have serious condition. Very powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, so people should learn about it. These are the things you just don't hear about.
Exactly. In fact, Jake Hobson says, interesting. And hi, Kevin. And yes, Jake, you need to read this book. Dr. John Gray is amazing. And go to Amazon. He's got the whole list of books all across there. You will not believe he's got 30 of them now, or 31?
28 books, probably. If we go to other languages, then there's a lot more. But I've written 28. I'm going to write a bunch this year. I've got a bunch coming up. I've dedicated a lot of time. I just feel so happy when I'm writing a book because I know it's going to help people. It's an answer to people's questions. But I talk about this health stuff. That's the book I really promote a lot, where, my major expertise, although I do have other expertises, is relationships and managing stress effectively through our relationships, and understanding one of the most important aspects of being in love, having attraction, having romance, living a long life, having energy and motivation, positive mood. One is the physiological side of it, for sure. There's no question that's important. But more important, or just as important in my mind, is how we have relationships. What goes on as women get older, their hormones go out of balance. As they get older, their hormones go out of balance. And what it looks like for men is that their testosterone levels go down. And testosterone for men is so important for libido, for motivation, for optimistic mood, for energy. Everything good about male behavior only occurs when his testosterone levels are rising. This is like, it's an amazing thing. And, there's so many ahas in this book, Beyond Mars and Venus, uh, because in that book, I'm explaining that there's the basic ideas of men are from Mars are great for so many people. But over the last 25 years, the world has changed. Women have become more masculine, more independent, more competent, more capable in dealing in the world. So they need men less. And one of the major testosterone stimulators is men feeling needed. Men have to feel needed. One of the ways a man feels needed is he goes to work. Well, it turns out that when a man stops going to work and he retires, the insurance companies will say he's probably got 3 years before he has a heart attack and dies. It's the number one cause of heart attacks is stress. Now, ironically, they say it's cholesterol, which is nonsense. Half the people with cholesterol, half the people who die with heart attacks or cholesterol levels are either really high or really low. That means there's no scientific determination. There is a truth that in some cases cholesterol is associated with it, but it's not cholesterol itself. Our brain is 80% cholesterol. We need cholesterol. But what the problem is when they isolate cholesterol, there's certain kind of cholesterol, and it's not the two different kinds. It's what's called oxidative stress. So when you have stress, it oxidizes your cholesterol, and that's not good. But the real key is that low testosterone in men is always there when a man is stressed. So think about this. Anytime I have cortisol, the stress hormone, fight or flight, my testosterone is going down, and my female hormone, estrogen, is going up. That's the case. That's called fight or flight. When a man has stress, his testosterone is going lower, his estrogen's going higher. And so many people think that, when men are being angry and aggressive, it's testosterone. No, it's testosterone's going down. It's the opposite. So many stuff is the opposite world. We live in the opposite world. Whenever there's dysfunction, we're thinking the wrong thing. For women, whenever they're stressed, their estrogen levels are too low and their testosterone's too high, or their estrogen's just too low. What happens for women is when they do too much of the male hormone stimulating activities, then eventually their testosterone levels will drop, only because the adrenal gland is too tired. But they still do the same thing that exhausts their adrenal gland. So chronic stress will exhaust your adrenal gland so that you can't make estrogen, you can't make testosterone when you're going through menopause. It's low all over the place. And then after menopause, women still make enough estrogen from their adrenal gland unless they're stressed out. If they're a wild mermaid, they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves, you're making the estrogen. And when you smile, that's all estrogen. When women are happy, it's all estrogen. And that's right, singing and dancing, having fun in your life, feeling free. This is big stuff. And I think for the upcoming 20 years that we're just facing right now, the big change has just happened. The whole world is shifting big time. We see it everywhere. Yeah. And it happened in November, right when the election was going on. A major planetary influence is Pluto. Pluto is slow moving. If you understand astrology, my mother was an astrologer. And if you understand astrology, all you have these planets and everybody's unique and different and it affects us. But Pluto amplifies, it like sits on top of you, and whatever your blocks are, they become more intensified. Your challenges in life, your suffering in life. Because see, suffering is the big teacher. We really only we only are motivated to change if we're suffering. Okay. It's a big teacher. If you stay stuck in your ways, you're going to just, all right, I'm stuck until the pain is too great and you got to get out of bed. I remember when I was writing the book Minute from Mars, that was just an inspiration. I wrote that book in 3 months, a week, a chapter a week, and it
Really,
was divine. It was huge. So I made the contract. I'm going to do it. I did it with Harper, and every morning at 3 o'clock, I would get pain in my belly of energy, just the energy to write that book. It was like a baby that was coming. And if I didn't go down to my office at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I didn't want to. I mean, I don't want to do that. I want to sleep. But it would just sit there in my belly and until I suffered so much. Okay, I know I have to go down and do
now
this.
that's a
Otherwise,
calling from the divine for sure.
this is, life teaches us these lessons. It's our journey. Everybody's journey is different. I'd say mine is maybe has a lot more highs and lows than most people. I don't know, but I know that I respect suffering. I always know that after I have a block, always something good happens. Always something good happens. I think as we get older, if you look back over your life, you'll see, oh, there were bad times, but then how did life become after that? It got better. It got wonderful. You learned something. Your life took a new direction. It sets us back on course of how to move forward to explore our potential and our destiny and make a difference in the world.
Yes, sir. Suffering is a great teacher. We learn from our suffering, just as the book says. Jesus learned through his suffering.
Yeah, yeah. And you want to suffer? Get married.
I tried it. I didn't like it. I
But
probably
also,
had too much
it,
testosterone.
it's the greatest highs. It's like having a child. Everybody who has children says it's a
Yes.
tough job, but it's the best job. It's just so rewarding, to have children. Right now, I'm helping with my grandchildren. My latest grandchild is 2 years old and just so precious. But exhausts me. But I could just see my daughter, her husband. You do a lot of stuff, being parents today. Also, trying to protect your children from all the toxicity, in the environment. It's expensive. It's hard, to buy things that are natural, to buy food that's healthy for you. Fortunately, this child is going to have an easier time because you're not being exposed to any of that. Because it seems like anything that's bad for us, we tend to become addicted to it.
What's up with
Like sugar. So many parents want to just give their children sugar as if they need that to be ecstatically happy. Children do not need stimulants to be ecstatically happy. And if you give them that, then they lose their natural ability to be ecstatically happy. What happens, which is my book on ADD, ADD is actually an early version of Parkinson's. We're going to have so much Parkinson's because of the high addictive tendencies that we have. That's what Parkinson's is, actually. It's the overstimulation of the dopamine receptors. They shut down. It's like the irises in your eye. If you have bright light, they close down. And when they're closed down, your ability to see anything is gone. So you go back to the light. You go back into, the high stimulation. So that's the science of all addiction has to do with inhibited dopamine function is the way I call it. And ADD is definitely inhibited dopamine function. For males, it tends to be hyper focus. Ironically, they say it's inability to focus. But if you actually look at any child with ADD, they don't need drugs. Okay. That's not what I mean. But just the way the brain goes out of balance is a boy can sit in front of a video game and stay focused for 10 hours. Okay. He has total focus. It's just he doesn't have flexibility of focus. It's like a husband listening to his wife. He keeps finding his mind go back to what he's thinking about at work. He keeps going back over here. It goes to a TV show he wants to watch or something. He's doing his best, but his brain just won't stay focused on something that's natural and not high stimulation. That becomes magnified with the pornography. Besides drugs, pornography is probably the biggest drug ever invented at destroying relationships at the root. Because what happens is a man whose testosterone levels are low cannot be attracted to his wife, but then he can turn on porn with someone he doesn't love. If he doesn't love the person, his testosterone levels shoot up. It's sort of paradoxical. Would you like to understand why? Is that confusing to you?
Oh, no, 'cause I read the book.
But a lot of women go, "What? How can he be doing porn? Aren't I enough for him?" Yes, he loves you. And ironically, the more a man loves a woman, this is statistics, on average in our country, his testosterone is the lowest for his age group. If you look at the statistics in America, it's just downhill for men. It's 2%, 1% to 2% every year, right from 25. It's just going down, down, down.
Guys, don't listen to this. You can fix it.
And you can fix it. Absolutely. I'm 73 years old. My testosterone's 50% higher than when I was a young man. And I've got incredible libido and energy and motivation because I know how to protect my testosterone. Most men just don't know. And so my book, Beyond Mars and Venus, I explain that the world has changed. And in this world, women not needing men is a major strike against men's testosterone. It's also, uh, atrazine and the pesticides that are in our food and the plastics. They're all.
You wanna pop book there, Eric?
Is that your? We're hearing a little noise here. Is that me or is that you?
Not sure, but we're gonna just continue on and put up the book,
Yeah,
and
that's good. So,
and then we're also gonna put up the book, Children Are From Heaven, because 'cause
oh,
I'm a
that's
new
great.
grandmother. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I'm leaving to go visit my brand new granddaughter,
Oh, isn't it great? Isn't it great?
and I believe children are from heaven, and she looks like a little angel, and how can I be the best grandmother ever? How do I start off my relationship perfect?
Well, you want to give your daughter or daughter-in-law, whichever it is, you want to give her my book, but you also want to give her something for infants, which is not my book, which is good or better than my book. It's perfectly harmonious with my book. It was another person wrote it. It's called Hunt, Gather, Parent, and she would be an amazing guest as well. It's pure genius.
Hunt,
It's a
gather,
total hunt, gather, parent.
parent. Okay.
And any woman should read that and think about her husband as well, because the
Okay, makes sense to me.
well, you
Although
see,
I want them to come to me, I'm not hunting them down.
so anyway, exactly. You don't pursue men, you let them pursue you. And when a man pursues a woman to make her happy, he bonds with her. When women pursue men for a relationship, men don't bond. We just sort of sit back and go, "What else you got for me? I'll take that." And we like being nurtured and taken care of by whatever, but we don't bond with you. What bonds with you is when we provide something of meaning to you. And now, let's say I have a good job, I make money. My wife has a good job, she makes money. There's not much bonding that takes place because she doesn't really need my money. She can do it herself. This
Mhm,
is a concept of 80 years ago. Maslow, Dr. Maslow, Abraham Maslow,
mhm,
he talked about the hierarchy of needs.
mhm,
And when your survival needs, your security needs are met, literally another need emerges, and that need is for emotional fulfillment. Now, the way that shows up for women is they don't need men so much except for emotional fulfillment. That's why you see for many, many years, there was a shift of women's complaints about men in the beginning of the 80s. In the 80s, it was, "You don't bring me flowers anymore. You're not romantic anymore." My mother never complained that my dad wasn't romantic. No woman on the planet ever complained after a few years that your husband isn't romantic. It wasn't a big deal. But it turns out that when women are independent, romance raises their estrogen. And because women need to make 10 times more estrogen to lower their stress levels. So romance is a powerful stimulator of estrogen to find this hormonal balance that women are always striving to achieve. They always talk about, work home balance. Well, the first stage of it is if you anticipate romance in your life, when you're at work building up the testosterone, whatever, you're neglecting your female side, your female hormones. Just anticipating romance will raise your estrogen. But no, men don't know how to do that. Okay. And sustain it. Men just don't understand how romance could be that important because we don't need that much estrogen. It's not good for us to have that much estrogen. We need testosterone, which is providing for a woman for what she needs. And men just don't know how important romance is and how easy it is. See, I break it down into little chunks. It doesn't mean you have to take her on some amazing date and do that a couple of times a year. That's great. Women need lots of little things to raise their estrogen. That's a concept that was also in Men Are From Mars that men just don't understand. So just take this for a moment. In a man's mind, bigger is better. you give a diamond ring to a woman or take her somewhere special. Oh, she glows and whatever. So in our mind and in the world, bigger is better as well. I've written all these books. I make a lot of money. Bigger is better. That's all great. So that's the male side of it. Bigger is better. Well, the female side of it is lots of little is very, very important hormonally. And again, as women are more on their independent side, they need extra help now, other than my mother needed to be on the feminine side. What a woman needed traditionally to be on her female side was a husband who had a good job, a husband who didn't get angry about stuff, a husband who had some manners. That was pretty much it. It was I won't say it's a simple job, because making enough money to support a family is almost impossible for some people today. The world was a different place. So how can I, get a rise out of my wife, so to speak, a response, a smile? There's not all women are mermaids, This is
I'm trying to birth them.
That's right. We have to learn this stuff. So we're in a new era of recognizing the skills for providing emotional support, gender specific, because particularly for emotional support, just like with physical support a long time ago, women needed strong men. Okay. The protection. They need it today, but not as much. You've got policemen, you got armies, you got stock markets, you got your businesses, and women are really good in business. Okay. So they're making lots of money. So women are on the outside. That means they need men less. If you don't need me, then I don't get a big burst of testosterone. Testosterone goes up when somebody needs you and you're taking care of them. You're solving problems for them. You're fixing things. You're overcoming challenges for other people. This is all about testosterone. So for women, how do they come back to their female side becomes the big challenge. And that's what Beyond Mars and Venus is about. What they can do for themselves, which is a lot what you do for yourself. They're learning so much from you, but it's also how she can use a man to do for her as well. And so I talk about that gender relationship, how as I raise her estrogen, it automatically raises my testosterone. And if she responds to me in a way that raises my testosterone, it raises her estrogen. And we don't have to test this out, just go by your feeling. But we actually have, both men and women, these little noses inside of our nose, little flaps, and their own function is to smell pheromones that get produced when a woman's estrogen goes up. That's a big part of why, if you get an 18-year-old girl in a bikini bathing suit walking through a restaurant, which used to happen, we go to Hawaii, you watch the room, all the men just go into a timeless state, just looking. Now, what she's doing is knowing she looks beautiful, which is another thing that raises your estrogen, is look how good I look. People are looking at me. People are looking at me and I look good. Then estrogen goes up even higher. Then people look at you even more. Men are just drawn to that. And women get that confused as well. It's not like he wants to have a relationship with her. He wants to marry her. He doesn't love his wife. It has nothing to do with love. It has to do with pheromones to activate a part of the brain that says, what's that? What's that? It's the same kind of thing for a woman. She walks in nature and sees flowers. I go for walks with Bonnie, my wife, and she's like, look at that little flower. Oh, look at that little this. And then she names them and she talks to them and she has her own garden. She's all excited about those little things. That's all biology. And there's always some crossover. I know some men who are gardeners, but it's more like how competent they are about it. But it's the female side, just to say in simple terms, you can have a house, but it only becomes a home when a woman's there. You can feel it. It's that women have such a flair for beauty, for organization, for happiness. And it's a shame that some women don't know how to be happy. So I wrote the book, How Women Can, it's in there, how to be happy as a woman and how men can help a woman be happy. And it's not so much about making men happy. Men are happy when they do the right thing. Okay. It's a different thing. A man has to do the right thing and happiness follows him. But women have to learn how to ask for and get the kind of support that makes them feel special, makes them feel safe, makes them feel understood, makes them feel respected. That's a key factor. I get a little frustrated when I see all the books on gender. They particularly like to give advice, even those books on gender, they give advice on communication. It's the same advice for both men and women. No, it's completely wrong. From my experience, but a big one is when couples are arguing, let's say, and what will happen is when a man loses his confidence that everything he says is not being appreciated, men say things, they expect you to go, oh, you're right. Now I feel better. So he
You have to
doesn't
choose to
understand.
be happy, and you have to choose to be honest and have a very good open relationship. It's just communication, and you have
Well,
to communicate.
everything, a lot of this comes down to communication, without a doubt. And here's a communication insight. When a man talks about his feelings, his estrogen goes up. So if I'm talking about my feelings and my testosterone is really high, that means I'm confident. I'm not threatened in any way. I'm not in fight or flight in any way. And I'm sharing with my partner and my feelings come up. They will always be positive. Okay. Men only have negative feelings when their estrogen levels are too high and their testosterone is too low. So let's say we're in an argument. I will start to have negative. Let's say I'm getting angry or frustrated or something, and tit for tat, that kind of stuff, fighting a battle. It's such a waste of time. Couples do it
Right.
all the time. They haven't been taught anything different. But once you understand the biology of this, as soon as a man's starting to feel a little stressed, his estrogen levels are going high, his testosterone is going down. And the symptoms of that is annoyance, irritation, anger, dominance, not being able to hear what you have to say, all those things. And what's happening when a man gets angry for a woman is she shuts down. She doesn't feel safe. Her estrogen levels start dropping, and anything he says cannot be really heard or appreciated if he's been angry. And it could take her days to recover. And if a man, and sometimes never, unless she has the right understanding, for a man, when he raises his voice to a woman, she shuts down, he will shut down as well afterwards. And it can take him days, weeks before he can connect with his feelings, because his estrogen goes so high, it pushes his testosterone down so low. So
Yeah,
it's a
you
lot
live
of things.
and
So
don't do that. Don't waste your life like
don't
that.
waste your life like that. It's all little stuff, like that wonderful book, it's all little, don't sweat the big stuff, and it's all, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff. We're so petty when we start getting into these negative emotions. But here's the point I wanted to make, another good takeaway. What happens a lot when couples argue and lose control is the woman doesn't understand that men need to not talk. If a man keeps talking when he's experiencing rises in estrogen and his testosterone is going low, which means he's a little angry, he's a little irritable, he's pushy, he's dominant. At those times, arguing, his estrogen's going higher. And what makes estrogen continue going high for man or woman is talking. That's why talk therapy is there. Most of my clients are women. Uh, some husbands trying to figure their wives out, trying to fix it up. But 90% statistically of people go to talk therapy are women. Why? Because if you can talk about what you're feeling and somebody listens without judgment, your estrogen levels go higher and higher and higher. That lowers a woman's stress. But when a man's estrogen levels go higher and higher and higher, if he's in a state of fight or flight, he only gets worse. His all anger in men is just high estrogen, low testosterone. So the worst thing you want to do when a man's arguing is ask him questions. And women are the best asking questions. Why would you do that? How could you say that? But remember, you didn't do that. What were you thinking? Or he says, look, I do love you. Well, if you love me, why did you do this or this or this? So, it's a natural thing for women to create conversation. It's the world they live in. It's the way they process their emotions. Conversation is a way for men to solve problems. Yes. But for women, it's for solving problems. It's for creating connection. It's for lowering stress levels. It's for exploring and discovering what you're thinking and feeling. There's a lot of ways women use talking, but if a man's upset, he should stop talking. So I'll give you a simple example. Not only do I not ever argue with my wife, what I do is time out and I learn how to not even get upset, which is to ask her more questions. Part of men, their testosterone going down is feeling they're losing the battle. They're losing control. They want to feel like the good guy. And all of a sudden it looks like he's not the good guy in her eyes. And so it's about control. Everybody wants to feel in control of themselves and their lives and so forth. So if a man stops talking and instead asks questions, he's in control. Instead of saying, I don't want to hear what you're saying, I want to hear what you're saying. Tell me more. And why would I want to hear what she's saying? Because for one reason, I love her, but for another reason, I want her to feel happy. And I know, and I want her stress to go down, and I want her to love me more. And I know the secret to that is get her to talk more, get her to talk more, get her to talk more. Now, as with everything, it doesn't always work if you don't do it exactly right or at the right time. It's very hard if you're if your emotions and feelings that you're upset about, if you're a woman, are blaming him. If you blame him, he'll become defensive. If you use negative emotions to change anybody, if I use negative emotions to change my wife, what happens is you get stuck in your negative emotions unless that person changes. So never share negative emotions with the intent to use them to change somebody, make them feel guilty, threaten them, scare them, hurt their feelings, make them feel uneasy, whatever it might be. You're sharing to have an effect, even to get them motivated and change their behavior. Quite often, women sometimes create a upset just to get aliveness out of him. Well, there's other ways to do that. But what we want to look at here is uh, for us to constructively learn to express our feelings. So if a woman has negative emotions, they're going to be perceived as judgment and blame and disapproval and criticism. If that's how he's going to perceive it, he'll just push back. It's a universal law that if you push to change the world, push at the world, it will push back. That's why it's so hard to create change. It's just the way the world is.
You have to be in flow, and you have to be
In
working
a
on
certain
yourself.
state, absolutely. Yeah. If you want to go and you're marching in a march to change the world, that's okay as long as you're singing songs and having a good time doing it. But if you're angry, nothing's going to change. It's going to go the other way. If you're demanding, if you're selfish, if you're looking at your own side, not somebody else's side, people just push back. So the solution to this, because women need to talk about feelings to balance out being in their male side all day, talking about feelings as a powerful estrogen producer. So you learn how to talk about your feelings to somebody you're not blaming, And you do that and you practice doing that and you get good at it. And then your life is less stressful. Then you can start sharing with your partner things and you're not making a big deal out of things, but you can do it more gently and more softly, as opposed to, you hurt me. I can't believe you did that. That is such the man who wants to be your rescuer. And then you say, oh, you hurt me. And it's almost standard psychology 101. I feel hurt when. Just like, I do not want to hear, did I hurt you? And yes, we do have our feelings get hurt by things, but people today are just so sensitive because they have no sense of self. And then you decide you're another sex, you really have no sense of self. The most real thing there is your biology, is who you are right now. And, one of the things at least I promote at the beginning of the year, because it's January, everybody wants self-growth, and, people go to the gym and it's 3 months later, they stop going, but they go to the gym and they eat good food and they give up sugar and all those kind of things. It's a transformational time. So it's a good time. But
Thanks,
what
Jose,
I found
for
that,
sharing this out. We appreciate you.
say
A
that
lot
again.
of good nuggets here. I said thank you to Jose for sharing this out. A lot of good nuggets for you guys and all you ladies. You know what? You start with looking in with yourself and thinking about, what did I do to make this situation happen? What's going on in my heart? And have a conversation and get down into the deepness of yourself and be a little more gentle, be a little kinder to each
If you're
other.
going to look at your side of it, realize that you did everything out of love. You just didn't understand men. You didn't understand men.
And then both sides need to work on this.
Oh,
So
always, always. What I find in my work, my experience, is men if you use logic, and everything I say seems to be logical, and it's based in science even, men change real fast. And many women change real fast, of course, too. But
mhm.
I get more resistance from women, and I understand it. It's because they feel like, you're telling me I have to do something different. I have done everything I can to make this relationship work. And just don't ask me to do something new or different or more. And I say,
Maybe too
actually, I
much,
think,
maybe too much. You didn't give
yeah,
them a chance.
my message is do less, but please always be expanding your understanding of how you can do less and get more. If you're trying to earn a man's love, you'll lose a man's love. You let him earn your love, and you have ways to do that. So I have all these, tools and insights and beyond Mars and Venus that can help women do that. I'm actually working on a book right now, and chapter 4 is 12 mistakes that women unknowingly make to push men out of their lives. Women just don't understand it. It's we are a different species. We're from another planet. You're dealing with somebody, but we look the same. We're so similar, and there's so many qualities that are similar, but you think you're being loving and you're feeding him poison. He thinks he's being loving and he's feeding you poison. You could be upset. And he says, hey, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Let it go. You're just punishing yourself by being mad at me. You ruined the whole evening. Now my life is ruined, all because of you. We could have had a wonderful time, but look at what you did. Men just destroy their relationship with stupid things to say. And when a man understands how stupid that is, why do you think a woman who's not feeling good would like you to point out to her that she's wrong? And do you want a woman to point out to you that what you're doing is wrong and there's a better way you to do it, and you haven't asked for that? You haven't asked for her suggestion, for her correction. That's hard. It's hard because when you think, oh, it's so easy. I could help my partner. If they're not asking for that help, it's offensive. And if you don't know how to help, it can be taken the wrong way as well. Because nobody wakes up and says, how do I make my wife or my husband's life miserable today? Unless you're really angry. Sometimes that happens. But we just don't understand. It's the lack of knowledge of what you're dealing with because it's counterintuitive. It's like we are mirror reflections of each other. Here's a little example of that. Under moderate stress, this is moderate stress. That's like adrenaline. It's not cortisol. It's adrenaline. Now, adrenaline will eventually turn into cortisol if it's continued for a long time. So we see that women in the workplace have double the cortisol levels of men. And when they come home, they double again. This is a reality that's happening today. Women are way more stressed in terms of hormones.
Ladies, you need to take a little time for yourself. Go get a foot massage, a manicure, a pedicure, a walk in the forest, a hike, a mountain, go to the ocean.
That's right. That's right. And massage is a real key thing there. Non-sexual touch is a major oxytocin producer, which is a primary hormone for women to then feel safe. So even in a dangerous situation, if somebody's touching you in a non-sexual way for 30 minutes to an hour, your body will just tell you, I'm safe. And your anxieties go away, your fears go away, your ruminations go away. It's so, so important, physical touch. Those other things you mentioned and more things in my book certainly work. But boy, that's a big one. Being in a yoga class or an exercise class with other women, as long as it's not too intense. If you're having intensity, then suddenly you're getting out of your female side. Female side of us is flow, easy, good, liking it. Male side of us is you do what's hard, you do what's difficult, you do what's challenging, and you don't complain. See, complaining is an estrogen producer.
Just fix it.
Yeah, just fix it.
Yeah.
No big deal. Minimize, whatever.
Yeah.
And, anyway, so questions?
Oh, yeah. What's the most important thing couples can do to nurture that relationship?
Okay, so I'm going to nurture my relationship by understanding little things make a difference. If I give her 50 roses, there's a surge of estrogen. I give her 2 roses, there's a surge of estrogen. Give her 5 roses, almost the same surge of estrogen.
Even one.
Even one. That's right. Just a little rose.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea here that men don't comprehend is that for women, little things make a difference. He lives in a world of competition where big things, bigger and better, wins the game, makes you the star, and there's no question about it. If you do something big for your partner, you feel fantastic and she feels really good. But little things can also make her feel really good. And then when you actually start doing that consciously, you realize that you as a man also feel really good. So why is it so hard for men when a woman is not feeling happy? Let me explain this, which is a man does something really big and that makes her happy. So in his mind, I have to do something big to make her happy. So if she's not happy and he's doing his best and doing everything he can to do the big stuff, then he feels powerless to make her happy. Instead of knowing that you don't have to do the big stuff occasionally. What you have to do is a lot of the little stuff. So this big burden is on side of men and it exhausts them. Their energy levels drop. Just imagine you have a task to do and you can't do it. You feel powerless. Your testosterone levels crash. So much of the time when a woman's unhappy, which is maybe there's exceptions to this, but most women are kind of ups and downs. Some women bigger waves and downs, ups and downs, whatever. But at those down times, the man goes, "Oh, I'm already doing everything. I can't do anything to make her happy." So when you talk to men as a counselor who want to give up on their relationships, what's the bottom line? They always say the same thing. No matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. In his mind, he's thinking, if I'm making, $100,000, I guess I have to make $200,000. My job doesn't do that. And so he feels powerless to make her happy when he doesn't realize it's give her 4 hugs a day. Every time you get up, you look for your wife. You have to initiate the hug. Otherwise, you don't get the big estrogen. Okay. One hug, it's like, think of it as points. Okay. I give her a hug. That's 1 point. If it's 8 seconds, you actually measure the oxytocin going up in her body, which relaxes her brain a bit, where she can remember, I can depend on this guy. I can depend on this guy, produces estrogen. I'm safe. I have what I need. That I have what I need is an estrogen stimulator. When a man feels I am what you need, I can provide what you need, my testosterone goes up. So it's the perfect balance of her happiness is my happiness. And I don't have to be so great and wonderful and everything. I just have to do a lot of little things. And I've got an easy job here. Most men think, oh, women are so high maintenance and she always ups and downs. And no matter what I do, it's never enough. No, no, no. You're just not doing the little things. So, I talk about these are like biohacks that hack into her hormones to stimulate her estrogen without her knowing or her knowing whatever. I want her to be happy. So 4 hugs a day. I get up, I give her a hug. I leave for work. Where are you? I want to give you a hug. Come home from work. Kids, where's your mom? Go find her first. She's more important than everybody. She says she used to do most of the cooking, now not. But she'll say, dinner's ready. And I say, okay, kids, go into the kitchen. And I'd sit there on my computer. And what the kids get the idea there is mom's not important. So I realized once I started shifting and just making mom more important than the kids, then the kids made mom more important. It was amazing. They just copy you. A funny little story as I was having dinner with my granddaughter and my daughter and her husband. And I was sitting at the table and I just needed to sort of stretch in my chair and kind of put my leg up and just be casual like this without anybody saying anything. This little 2-year-old, she starts moving in her chair. She puts her leg up and starts doing it.
Yeah.
She's copying you. They copy everything. This is how we become who we are. And this is like, if you're mad at your partner, your children are gonna have emotional problems. If you can't make peace, just forget. Your child is more important than you and your husband. You love them more. It's a fantastic. So don't create unnecessary problems. Just keep having a way to come back to feeling good. And so that's about hormone balancing. If you balance your hormones through these activities that I recommend and different communication skills and what you've been talking about, Cindy, these are all things that for women will increase your estrogen. You will feel better. And then you have communication skills, no doubt. So hugs is a communication skill. I'm communicating my love, but it needs to be non-sexual. It needs to be 6 to 8 seconds. It's proven the oxytocin response happens. Give a little squeeze, be done. So she anticipates, her body anticipates that. The actual growth increase of hormones occurs when you anticipate getting what you need, as opposed sometimes of actually getting what you need. You get it, but then even more is like, say, I'm not feeling a lot of energy, but I'm about to go give a seminar. They're going to pay me money. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to help a lot of people. Just knowing I'm going to go there and do that, I already feel like I'm doing it. Okay. It's just like my testosterone's off the chart. Because there's a goal and I know I can achieve it. So I have goals, a man with a plan, and I can accomplish it. I'm kind of like, I was mentioning this thing before, another reset that you can do on your body, which is if you want motivational change, if you want to feel that motivation and that spark and that excitement, because a lot of people are like losing their drive, their motivation.
Yeah, folks, come on, get up in the morning, take a nice walk, have a good breakfast.
Well, a lot of people aren't doing that.
Thank you. Be grateful.
Yeah, that's great. When you can do it, you got grateful, by the way, is a big estrogen producer. Okay. Moving the body, of course, is important for your testosterone, and exercise is very important, but a lot of people don't do it. So here's how to have the energy and the motivation in 4 weeks to change your life is most people in our country are overweight and lose 10 pounds. If you can lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks, you will feel so excited. You will feel so motivated. You will have so much energy. You will start realizing, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Because see, what holds us back is feeling we don't have control. And often we look in the mirror and we go, oh, I shouldn't, eat that. I shouldn't do that and whatever. And some people have even denied that they even care about their body. That's the body positivity thing. Look unhealthy, but it's okay. I love myself. That's nonsense. You need to love yourself because you're healthy. And I'm telling you, if you have 10 pounds over or 20 pounds over, lose 10 pounds in a month, you will be rocket high. So what I have at my website for that is a little thing. If you say contact us, I don't put it on the website. You have to contact us. It goes to a thing to put in your phone number or email, ideally your phone number. And my team, who've been doing this with me for 25 years, will help you, guide you for a 30-day program to lose 10 pounds. And it's peer-reviewed studies have proven in this program, you eat a ton more protein. Okay. It's like double what you've ever thought about. And what happens is you lose fat, 10 pounds of fat, and you build muscle mass. Okay. Without even exercise. Exercise is better, but you literally build muscle mass. And that's a big problem for all of us as we get older. I think from 35 already, every month we're losing muscle mass. You see these people who walk like this, is they don't have energy to hold themselves up. Their muscles aren't there anymore. They just hold you up and you feel really good. Well, that's because they lose their muscle mass. I have old folks home nearby me, and they're just like all bent over and no energy and going really slow. That's right. As one woman said, tits up.
Yes, all those assets.
It's confidence, just tits up. And it's a good thing
I
for men.
swear.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that was you want to shift, you want to create a shift, take a shift in your body. That's powerful. Take a shift in your behaviors. Try practicing a month of never complaining to your boyfriend or husband. No complaints come out of your mouth. Instead, feel your complaints and talk to somebody else about them. Just share the feelings of how not to be able to complain, how you can't change things, frustration, disappointment. Share with somebody else. That raises your estrogen. Don't depend on complaining to your husband to raise your estrogen. And
Don't
for men,
anybody. Just
and
figure out
for
it. Think
and for
about it. You start so many of them, you go in and go, let me see, how was I involved in that? What could I have done better? Is this really a big deal or can I just let it go?
yeah, but that will come. I particularly for women can't do that like you can. You're more balanced. They need to first complain a bit. It's okay. Complaining, sharing positive or negative feelings doesn't matter.
Oh, that's
For
good.
women, it lowers their stress. It's just not a good. It won't lower your stress if you're sharing with your husband because
Really
he can't
bad.
hear that. Now, from the man's point of view, for me, how I keep my testosterone levels up one way. Of course, I don't do porn. I don't have sex with myself. That's all nonsense. That just lowers your testosterone. Only sex with my wife. Monogamy is a real key thing. But another powerful thing, and why monogamy is a key thing, is if you're really monogamous, your wife will feel safe and special. And it's her feeling safe and special that makes you more important in her life. And when a woman makes you more important, your testosterone levels will be off the chart. That's a major part. But a big part of it as well is not to whine and complain in the presence of your partner. And I just don't do it. I can feel it, and I do what people think is a sexist thing to teach. I suck it up. I literally suck it up. I got abs. I can feel my abs, and sometimes things are bothering me that my wife says or does or whatever. Because you have to be patient. I don't expect her to be perfect and know all the things that I teach. And so when she's like complaining at me or something, not all that time, but if she is, I just I consciously suck in my abs. You know why? Because literally the act of sucking in your abs produces testosterone. And if a man has plenty of testosterone, he can't be upset. He can't be upset. It's only when his testosterone is going down and his estrogen's going up. So it's amazing to have these little tools in order to do that. I have another thing let me see time wise. Well, we're pretty much finishing up, but I've got a lot of different hacks that go in my book and ways to what men can do to create romance, better communication, and help around the house can make a huge difference to help women come back to their female side. Because whenever women feel I have to do it all myself and they feel burdened by that, their estrogen levels will go down. Whenever men feel, oh, I can't make my wife happy, their testosterone levels will go down. But with this knowledge, I can make her happy. She's big. She has to learn to be happy too. I support her finding her happiness, but I can make her happier. So it's like understanding how I can be successful rather than feeling powerless that I have to do something big whenever she's unhappy. You don't have to do it. It doesn't have to be so hard.
How do you hope your work continues to influence relationships for future generations?
Well, I hope it continues on. It's certainly done a good job so far, and I've got. Yeah, I didn't want to share it. It sounds like I'm too optimistic, and I'm happy to be too optimistic. When you shoot for the stars, you'll get to the moon quite easily. I seem to need a lot big projects to
Going to
motivate me.
process here.
Well, my goal for the year is to write 10 books. I can write a book every 4 weeks. I've done it in the
Right.
past. Most of my books I write in 4 weeks. It's the getting the edited part. So I have to hire a really good editor, so I don't have to do all the editing. Then I can just crank this out. I was up this morning at 4:00. I'm on the 4:00 up in the morning thing, and I'm going to crank out. I've got my 12 titles. Actually, I have 24 titles in case if I can go to the next galaxy. They're all there. You just get like a machine gun, like I'm talking now. It just comes right out of me. I have so much experience, 50 years doing this as a teacher. You just collect all this information. So
Last
looking
question.
forward to it.
What's one piece of advice you give to someone single but looking for love?
All right. It's easy to be happy, to live alone and be happy. I don't want women to think, oh, I have to have a man to be happy. Literally, you want a man in your life, he'll be looking for you. He's hunting you down if you can literally be happy while you're single. A lot of research shows that living alone for women can make them very, very happy. What it does, it develops their male side a lot, without a doubt. But the male side can protect you. So you feel protected by your male side. It gives a chance for your estrogen levels to go higher. So it's really focusing on a lot of what you teach, Cindy, is just, be free, be yourself, be a woman, dance, sing, do your thing.
Hear me roar.
Yeah, this is, and I emphasize a lot of these things that women can do, but in a simple phrase, what single women can do is do things that will create estrogen. Now, I got like one woman client, she's just always anxious and depressed. I said, go on a vacation with your son. She's single now. Go on a vacation with your son. And, oh, I don't want to go out there. I'll be single. People look at me. I feel, look,
Just
just do
go.
it. All of her anxiety went away the whole time she was there. She was just felt like, this is amazing. I stepped out of my box. She came back to her box. Her anxiety came back a bit. And I said, we want to focus on the belief system. I could be happy without a man. She's constantly thinking, oh, if I don't have a man, I missed out. I got married, got a divorce. No man's going to want me. This is nonsense. You don't have to be married all the time. Be happy when you're single, and a man will come to you, as long as your happiness is real, because you're doing things that's also increasing your estrogen. You're happy in that way. Vulnerability. And
Wherever you are, single, married, together, not together, whoever your partner is, just cherish them. Cherish your time here on earth. Cherish it. Pick up the books. Do the right thing for yourself. Do the right thing for everybody. Listen to the little voice in your gut. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Cynthia Manion Show, and pop those questions in. John will answer them later if you have lots of them. Or better yet, sign up for his course, his new books. Beyond Mars and Venus looks like a really good one if you haven't read that one yet. And Children Are From Heaven. I'm going to go reread that one. Namaste.
Before Children Are From Heaven, we said today is Hunt, Gather, Parent. I just love this book.
Parent.
Yeah,
And
Hunt, Gather, Parent.
Yes, and then maybe you'll introduce me to the author. We'll have her on next time, or him on.
That'll be great.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dr. John Gray. It's been a thrill. Take care. Make wise choices. See you next time.